All right, we're off. Hi, and welcome back to Politidoxy. I'm your host, Aaron Friedman. Today we have a guest whose name who is a 16-year-old public speaker and host of the sorry, Faulkner show, who I have come across. I've seen her stuff on Twitter, and I thought to myself, why not have her on here? Because we want to get a perspective from younger people, because we hear a lot from the older generation, especially from the boomers and from the millennials on what's going on, but we don't hear that much about Generation Z, mostly because Generation Z is very much going down the drain. But we can still save it. There's still time to save it. So there's a lot of things going on here, and I would first like for you to introduce yourself on your own terms, and we will see where this takes us.
Absolutely. Well, like you said, my name's Hannah Faulkner. I'm 16 years old. I have a show on Rumble, the Hannah Faulkner Show. I also have a website, Culture of 1776. We've got merch. Actually, I've got my pronouns are USA, and then I'm wearing the No Beta Boys t-shirt, which we can talk about later. But yeah, I just travel the country speaking the truth to both those that, are a fan of what I say and also those that absolutely hate what I have to say. I've held the first Teens Against Gender Mutilation rally. We had about 200 protesters come out to that rally. I've held so many different events with protesters and also those in support of the event. But I think most importantly, just having these conversations, I believe that's what's going to make change. Having conversations with my generation, having conversations with the other side, that's what changes hearts. That's what changes minds. And that's what's going to change this upcoming election here in November, where we see Gen Z come out to the poll and vote for Donald Trump. And we can talk about him more later and, why I am a fan of Donald Trump. I can't vote in 2024, and that's why I'm urging people to get out to the polls, to cast their ballot for Donald Trump, because, really what's on the line here is freedom or slavery. It's either you want to live in peace, you want to have freedom, you want to be able to go to your church and worship God or whatever, whoever you worship freely without fear of persecution or being shut down by the government. Or you can vote for Joe Biden and get us closer to this 2020 or this 2030 globalist agenda that the globalists are pushing. And so, yeah, I'm just having these conversations. I travel to college campuses. I joined the Reawaken America tour with Eric Trump, Clay Clark, General Flynn, Alina Habba, Mike Lindell, so many other patriots. So that's a little bit about me and what I do. But I'm just continuing to, speak the truth wherever I can.
Sounds awesome. And to me, it seems like you have all the right stuff. You have all the right, the correct mentality to what's going on right now. So let's get into this. So you are this is going to sound weird, but you are a woman, a born of the Generation Z, and particularly this generation, especially women, are much more liberal. And the main question is, what brought you to be more conservative? And when I say you have the right mentality, I really mean it, meaning that there are those who are more of the liberal kind of Republican. You're more of a, I would say, I would use this word, firebrand of conservative, going out there, bringing out the best of conservatism. So what brought you to being much more of a conservative person when you have a stack that is stacked against you with the liberal indoctrination?
You're right. I've got even conservatives that disagree with what I say. I've been called a misogynist by even conservative women for the views that I hold, and the fact that women are trending more liberal. It's not a misogynist statement. It's not rude to say. It's just a fact. You look at statistics in the 2020 midterm election. 76% of women voted liberal. 76% of women voted for Democrats, whereas 58% of men voted Republican. It's not which is funny because I'm a woman and they're calling me a misogynist as a conservative. I get called red pill. I get called all the names, right? I don't even like being labeled those things. I'm just a conservative that's fighting for the truth. I'm not, and this is not even controversial to say. This isn't even just things that I believe in. These are things that are proved by science, data, and statistics. So you don't have to take my word for it. You can take the statistics word for it, right? And what the truth is actually saying and the data that's coming out. But I think first off, when you understand the truth, when you understand right versus wrong, to understand something is happening, to sit by idly watching it, to understand that we have murdered over 70 million babies in the United States of America since Roe versus Wade. It's sickening to sit by and watch that happening. It's one of the most egregious things to sit by and watch evil prevail. And so we have a duty as Americans, especially as Christians, to take a stand against these issues. But I mean, on the women issue, I do get a lot of hate for the things I say. I'm sick and tired. The feminist movement has lied to women. Nothing about the feminist movement was good. I mean, it is made not just it is not just ruined women and made women very emotional, but it's also weakened men. So we've come to a point in society where we have weak men and emotional women. And like I said, I'm a Christian. If you go all the way back to the Garden of Eden, it's the exact same problem that got Satan kicked, or it's the exact same problem that got Adam and Eve kicked out of the Garden of Eden, right? Is because Adam wasn't being the leader that God had called them to be. And Eve based her decision on eating that fruit off of emotion, right? And so men are called to be leaders. They're called to be protectors, providers. Women are called to nurture. They're called to be, they're more compassionate. And that's, again, not a misogynistic, rude statement to make. This is just a fact. And I know you know it. I saw you post the other day. I think it was a clip of, which it was interesting. Twitter kind of banned, like they didn't, they kind of censored the post. It was basically, I think you said, why can't women dress more like this? Which I have to say, I don't know why this is, but every time I go to your account, it's like you need to change your settings because this man posts very sensitive content.
I'll tell you all about it right now. It's basically because I posted something about some kind of degeneracy that was happening, and Twitter picked it up, and they were like, "Yeah, well, you can't post this." It was one post, so I didn't. It was something more ambiguous. I didn't know if it is a post that needs to be put on a label on it. You could censor your own post so your entire account doesn't get nuked. So I didn't know if I should or shouldn't, and I decided that no, this shouldn't be censored only because it was a okay. Here it is. Here's what the post was: a man dressed as a woman in a woman's bathroom, pleasuring himself, but and you could see the hand motion, but it was blurred, so you couldn't see what you could. There was enough for the imagination. You couldn't see the action, but you could see what was happening. So I thought, wait, this post is already censored. I mean, you can't see the action, so I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to label this post as being sensitive. But Twitter picked up on it, and then they nuked my entire account, saying that, oh no, this is very dangerous. Nowadays I post stuff. Just a moment. Nowadays I post stuff about beautiful Greece, pictures of videos of Greece and the scenery, and they're like, this is sensitive content. I'm like, okay, if you say so. Why I don't know why my account needs to be nuked for this, but yeah, that's
Well,
basically.
I saw the post that you made about why can't women dress like this today, and it was like this is sensitive content. I'm like, why is this sensitive content? This is just truth. Like, yeah,
For the viewers who don't know, it's basically just a woman who dressed modestly and absolutely beautiful, stunning. All the words, it does. It's just amazing, but modest. So I was like, why can't women? Why can't women? What is stopping you from dressing like this? It's not repressive. It's beautiful and it's modest. There's nothing wrong with this. So why can't you do this? And yeah, they're like, yeah, this is sensitive content. Apparently.
oh my goodness. Elon Musk, we've got to change some stuff here. I actually had a girl come on my show, Arden Young. She exposed Pornhub for allowing kids on there, not just watching their content, but also performing in their content and not verifying their age, which there's a lot going on with the pornography industry right now. And I'm excited to see some headlines, head waves being made for just banning this content. I mean, they've broken so many laws, and that's totally another topic. But I will say, it's sad. I have seen so many people still get censored, even on Elon Musk. I know, like, obviously, no platform is perfect. I'm grateful for what Elon Musk has done. He has created, a platform where people can mostly speak freely, but obviously, there are still some issues where people are still being censored for things that should not be censored, like Pornhub being exposed.
I was banned. By the way, I was suspended impermanently from Twitter. What happened was, I don't, I I tagged a lot of people, and Twitter picked it up as being spam. So I have no problem with you like putting a suspension on my account. We feel like you're posting spam. Okay, fine. For 2 days, you'd suspend me. I would not even make a fuss about it. I'll be like, I could go 2 days without Twitter. Hell, it's probably healthy to go 2 days without Twitter. But they were like, your account is suspended permanently. I can't. So I reapplied and reappealed and appealed and appealed until they reinstated my account. That so thank you, random person working at Twitter, for that. But yeah, I was permanently suspended because the Twitter rules. It's not. The Twitter rules are very, 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 very subjective. It's not. It doesn't. It does not work properly, and it's a real mess there over at Twitter. Again, no, I'm not dunking on Elon Musk, but he's being sabotaged from the inside.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to see what's happening. But I mean, even just on the feminist movement, just talking about that, I mean, really, it has been the greatest threat to the nuclear family between one man and one woman. I talk about that all the time because they truly do believe that no part of the feminist movement, to believe that any part of the feminist movement was somewhat good to women or society as a whole, I think is to be ignorant. Because that's what the globalists do. This is what these evil people do, is they have to put some sort of, oh, well, we're giving you rights. What rights to the feminist movement? And some people will say, well, you know, aren't you grateful for the feminist movement that you get to have a podcast, that you get to travel the country speaking? That's because of the feminist movement. Let me just tell you right now that I'd rather not have to have a podcast where I have to get on a screen, get on a camera, and say children should not be able to cut off their healthy breasts and genitals. That we should not have a president over a leader over the of our country that cannot walk up the stairs and speak a sentence. I should not have to get on a podcast and say kids shouldn't be reading sexually explicit content in their schools. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I don't want to have I wish that I didn't have to do these things, right? But we've come so far as a society. We've gotten so far away from common sense that women have to now stand up and say enough. Enough is enough. And so we've all have to come together, right? And I was actually on, I think it was Real America's Voice, and they were kind of like, you know, it's kind of like an oxymoron, you know, a little bit of like, oh, you know, women have to like stand up, get out of the home to get women back to the home. You know, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do believe that ultimately women are called to be, you know, nurturers, like I said earlier. And the feminist movement, I mean, you look at Betty Friedan, the writer of the Feminine Mystique book that she wrote. She said that the feminist movement was promising women happiness and fulfillment, that women will be the most happy and fulfilled than any other generation. Well, we'll look at 2024. Statistics have just shown that by 2030, women will be ages 25 to 44, I think is what it is. 45% of women in that age bracket will be single and childless, unmarried and childless. This generation of women and men are the most unhappy, unfulfilled, depressed generation than we've ever seen before. And I believe that's wholeheartedly due to the feminist movement lying to women 100%. And you know, I do like to say too, you know, the feminist movement and the women's suffrage movement, which brought the 19th Amendment, the women's right to vote, those are two separate movements. And I do believe there were some things, you know, going wrong with the women's suffrage movement, of course, but those are two separate movements. And I even like to call the feminist movement the sexual revolution, the sexual liberation movement, because that's exactly what it was. It was to create women, to make women the most sexually promiscuous, we're seeing now, than any other generation. And I will say too, you know, if you look at all generations or every country that became a communist country and led by dictators, they always had to come in the name of love. They had to push a free love movement, a liberation movement. Well, if you really love your neighbor, if you really love people, then you'll join us on this movement, right? Whether that's gun control, whether that's liberating women sexually, whether that's, which quote unquote, that's not liberating at all. It's actually one of the most degrading things to go and sleep around with a bunch of men or women. That's not liberating. That's honestly oppressive and that's degrading. But that's another topic. But these communist countries, they enslave these people by pushing these ideas of compassion, of free love, of we want you to be liberated, we want you to be happy, when in reality it was all about controlling people. And that's exactly what they've done with the feminist movement. That's what they're doing with climate change, telling us that if we don't support climate change, which is funny because of course we know that there is climate change. It's called spring, summer, fall, and winter. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out, right? But no, I think it's really sad, and I really do think it's sad the amount of conservative women that still consider themselves feminist.
Right. So, but I would like to also go back to the initial main question, the beef of the question, as if you will, that what brought you, as seeing that you just went off on on a huge part of the feminist movement, of the idea of it all. But I would like to know what made you become more conservative, what steered you towards conservatism, considering all the other things, because because of all the promises of the feminist movement, of all the lies of the Democrat Party. I mean, it's everything should be against you, seeing that the stack is against you, seeing that vast majority of women go to be- go on to become Democrats. I mean, at least single women, and especially when it comes to the latest generation. So what brought you to what made you become more conservative?
Well, first off, I believe it all starts in the home. I believe it starts with your family, and I've got a great family. I've got parents that have taught me, and my siblings. I'm the oldest of four. Not just the what, but also the why behind the what. Why do I believe abortion is murder? Why do I believe these things? If you don't understand why you believe and what you're saying you believe in, then you're of course going to be easily deceived. And I think it all goes back to the point of what I said earlier. When you know the truth, when you see the lies happening, why would you just ignore them? Why would you continue to vote Democrat? If I know that they're lying to me, that abortion is not a right, it is murder. Uh, Murdering your own child is not a right. To know that there are two genders, you can't change your sex, yet I continue to vote for a party that believes people can change their sex. That students should be able to teach their students about sexually explicit content. To know these things are wrong and continue to vote for this party and to continue to accept this ideology is egregious, like I said. So I think it all goes back to the point of objective truth applies to everyone, regardless of whether you're male or female, whether you're Black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever it may be, wherever you come from, whether you come from a poor family, a wealthy family, a middle class family, whatever it may be, objective truth applies to everyone. And so when you understand the truth, when you understand right versus wrong, that's what motivates me to speak the truth. And that's what motivates me to reject the lies of the Democratic Party, to reject the lies of the media and whatever label they want to call me.
So what you're saying, but as the start of it, what you said is that you have a strong family, and that is the most important thing. I've talked about this multiple times, that libertarians like to say that the most important part of the society is the individual, and liberals slash leftists slash communists slash all the others, they like to say that it is the collective. I say, as a conservative, that it is the family, the nuclear family. You know why? Because it's an individual collective. It's a collective of people headed by an individual. That is the most important part of the society. And whatever hampers and attacks the family is an enemy of me, is an enemy of society as a whole. Anything that attacks the nuclear family is an enemy of the entire society. So you say that it is family, just having a normal family that protected you from the outside world, and that in and of itself, that is one of the most important things, as we can see that it did protect you. We have so many people who are growing up in broken families of all kinds, divorce, we're seeing single mothers, all of the other sorts. What you need is a strong family that will protect your sons and daughters from what is happening. Where I live, highly religious people. We have shielded, our entire community is shielded from the leftist dogma, and we have very stable children. I know that I don't know if you saw this video of the woman of the teenager, the black female who bashed the head of another girl into the asphalt. So what the question was, the main question, but I feel like most people didn't ask the main question, is what would drive a person to do something like this? What would drive somebody to take the head and bash it in? That is the main question. Punching somebody, that's just normal. I mean, teenagers, they punch each other, they attack each other. It's just normal. Kids are going to be kids. When you grow up, you grow out of it. Hopefully you grow out of it, but that's just how it's going to be, and adults have to be and make sure that it doesn't get out of hand. But fighting, punching, hitting each other, that's just normal teenage behavior. It always existed, it probably always will. But bashing somebody's head into the asphalt, that is not normal. That is something beyond that what normal teenagers do. There's a certain there is humanity within everybody. At least there should be humanity within everybody, that you don't bash somebody's head in, even no matter how much you hate them, because you know this could kill him. I don't want. I don't. Listen, I hate him. I want to punch him in the face, but I don't want to kill him. There's this there there's this like surface level basic logic, even in young people who are not wise, but they have this basic surface level logic to know, I'm not going to kill this person. I hate him, but I don't hate him that much. But what would drive somebody that, you know what, I'll risk it. I will risk the possibility of killing that person. What is happening here is it is not normal. It's something that could only mean fatherlessness, no male authority. That is something that I would bet money on. I would bet money that that person probably does not have a father in the household, and that is one of that is one of the most important things. When you have a family, you have a father, you have people who are, and I'm not only saying just a father of the family. That is the most important. But I'm also talking about a father figure in religion. If you don't have a father figure in your religion, you don't have stability, then the humanity is being taken out, it's being sucked out, and you see all the other individuals, you don't see them as humans, you see them as pieces of meat. And that's where, in part, that's where you get people who are ready to abort their children. So what is most important, what we need to talk about here is, listen, I'm at the okay, I thought this just went off. Okay, what is most important is that I am from the oldest part of Gen Z. I'm, born back in the 2000s, like the early, and you're of the by the end. So like we have the spectrum. I'm at the start. You're at the end. So we have one thing. The one thing that we do have in common is that we're both Gen Z, and we both see this generation being screwed up by mostly by boomers and by the millennials, Gen X, and the rest. They have done a terrible job at stewarding this planet to us. They have, I mean, they've destroyed. I mean, so much. You just go back and see things just from the 80s. I'm not even talking about the 50s. I'm talking about the 80s. The difference in economy. I'm talking about the difference in technology, stuff that the the plant obsolescence of everything, the cost of living, everything. Just we're not going to share it with this generation. So we have, in a way, we have a rightful grievance against people like that, but we can't talk anything bad about them. So what we do have is the generation Z. They see what has happened. They see that it's going down the drain. We are losing everything. The question is, what do we do? How do we convince our generation that, I know things are bad, but the only way we get back to a stable, normal society is not by going down the same path that the boomers set for us. This is the boomers did set this for us. They set for this path. At least they accepted it. The institutionalized communists, they put it forward, but the boomers, they accepted it, and then they said, okay, we're going to go this way. And Generation Z is like, yeah, we're going to continue this path. How can we, as Generation Z, try to pull back and say for our generation, no, don't go down this path. We need to go back to 1950s style economy, 1950s style civil rights, 1950s style. We need to go back to that traditionalism. And of course, people are going to say, well, 1950s, such a terrible time. There were so many terrible things. No, no, no. That's what your party did. The Democratic Party, that's what your party did. I'm talking about what my party was doing at the time. We were doing a lot of good stuff at the time. So we're talking about the good stuff. How do we how do we convince our generation we need to go back to a time when things were stable, when we had stable families, nuclear families? We put the crazy people back into the asylums. Thank you, Kennedy, for opening up the asylums. Anyway, so how do we convince them?
Well, I think first off, I mean, I just want to say too, the reason we're here is because the previous generations did not ask questions. They did not ask, why is this happening? They just trusted politicians. They trusted the media to do everything right. And I think that's the problem is we've trusted the media, we've trusted Hollywood, we've trusted our politicians to get everything right. No, they're humans. There's evil people in every single institution. And we should always be asking questions. Well, what is this bill going to do in 5, 10 years? What is this going to do in 5, 10 years? What does this mean? We need to start asking questions, right? Winning over a Gen Z, first off, we have to go straight to the parents. I cannot get my generation involved. I cannot get people. I've had so many events. I've had tens of events and tens of hundreds of events, honestly. And I cannot get kids to come to my event, teenagers to come to my events without getting the parents involved. So, parents, you have to show your kids that you care about the truth. Your kids will never care about the truth. They will never care about this country until they see that you, as the parent, care about this country. And start teaching your kids the why behind the what. Start watching the news with your kids. Get your involved with your kids. Have, and as it pertains to just igniting our generation as a whole, it's important that we have these conversations. The Democratic Party is targeting and taking advantage of the uneducated and the vulnerable of our generation. That is why they're going directly to these college campuses and they have these Planned Parenthood buses, because they know that college students are the most, at least today, are the most uneducated and the most vulnerable of our society. They have absolutely no idea what a chemical abortion does. They have no idea the life changes that happen after getting these puberty blockers, these chemical castrations, and what these surgeries do to these minors. They're just believing mainstream media, they're believing the Hollywood, and they're so blinded to the truth. So we have to start going directly to them, having these conversations, asking questions. Okay, why do you believe, excuse me, why do you believe, that abortion is a right? Why do you believe kids should be able to cut off their healthy breast and genitals? If studies are showing that directly on the National Library of Medicine that every single transgender person or that the transgender population is more suicidal than the general population, then shouldn't this be something that we're concerned about? If transgender people are more often than not suicidal than the general population, shouldn't this be something that we're concerned about? Having that dialogue, wearing T-shirts. I started Culture of 1776 so that Gen Zers and anybody really can go and grab some merch and wear it to their schools. I've had middle schoolers reach out and say, hey, I wore the My Pronouns Are USA T-shirt to my school. Someone asked, what does that mean? Why are you wearing My Pronouns Are USA? I had a shirt. I had a girl that reached out to me, said that she bought the Feminine Not Feminist crew neck. She asked, a girl at her school asked, what does that mean to be feminine, not feminist? Wearing these things, having these conversations, that is what is going to start change. But ultimately, I think our country needs revival. I really don't think anything's going to change until we have revival in the United States of America. And really, these issues we're facing in America are not just, issues in America. These are global issues that we're seeing. These are issues that are happening in England. I just saw England now is banning puberty blockers for minors, which honestly, it pains me to say that England is beating America in that area. It really is sad. We left England to get away from that stuff. We left England to get away from the lack of common sense and the lack of God, right? And now here we are in 2024, where England is beating America on that issue. That's another topic, but still, I think having these conversations, that's what's the most important. And educating ourselves, right? Benjamin Franklin said the best defense against tyranny is an educated society. And so if we're not educated, if we have no idea what we believe in and what we're saying, then we're going to be easily deceived. That's why you see, a large majority. I cannot remember the average age that people become more liberal or they start questioning whether or not there's a creator, or the percentage. It's a pretty large percentage. It's like ages 17 to 25 is when they start questioning and they turn away. But the reason why that happens is because they were not firm in what they believed in. They did not have a firm foundation. And so we have to have that firm foundation in order to not be swayed and deceived by the left.
Exactly. As we started this, that we have to have strong and powerful families that protect the children. That is the most. That is, I mean, that is like the defining character from all the other things. A strong family. If you look at single, this is I know a lot of conservatives don't like her, Ann Coulter, but she wrote a very important book. What's the book? I can't remember. She wrote so many books, so many bestsellers that I can't remember. But in it was which in one chapter it was dedicated to single mothers, where she discusses the if you really want to talk about crime, we don't have a black problem, a white problem, or any other of the races problem. If you take out if you take out one factor, one thing, single mothers, if you take that out of the equation, then all crime becomes 70. You get rid basically you would get rid of 76% of the crime, and all crime throughout all the races would be basically the same. There would be no difference. We don't have black, so that's why I kind of resent the idea of black crime. I'm like, no, it's not black crime. I mean, I know a lot of people want to call it that. It's not black crime. It's crime because of single mothers. That's where it stems from. All of it stems from single mothers. If you, and of course, agriculture is very provocative. So she named it, if you were the victim of a crime, thank single mother. And of course, that's provocative. It's maybe even offensive. I'm like, you know what? Good. You know what? I hope some people are offended by it, because this we're not really discussing the stuff that needs to be discussed. We have a problem with the family. If once the family gets back together, so many things it just fix it is just fixed from that automatically. And my camera just went off, but it's okay. My camera is working perfectly. All right. So,
Well, I
all right.
think too,
So,
men having men in society is the most important. Like, we have to have men in order for a society to thrive. And that is why the communists fear strong masculine men. Because in order to take control of a society, you have to emasculate and create docile men. And that's exactly what they're doing right now in order to control us, is to emasculate men and create a society full of emotional women that just base all of their decisions on their emotions, right?
although although I do think that what they're doing is actually what, as I understand it, Pharaoh tried to do with the Jews in Egypt. He tried to make the men do the women's work and the women do the men's work. So what the liberals are doing is making men more feminine and women more masculine. That's what they want. They want to switch up the things, and then they are creating also something that is called non-binary, then something that is the transvestite idea. That there's no such thing, in my opinion, there's no such thing as transgenderism. You can't change your gender. What you're born is. You could be a transvestite, which, okay, I wouldn't want it in public, but if it's delegated to some bar somewhere. I mean, I don't know what kind of law would actually be able to stop that. So I don't. I mean, this is where the libertarian in me really takes over, and I may be even wrong on that. But but the idea.
Right. There is no such thing as transgender because you cannot trans your gender. It's just common sense. Follow the science, follow nature.
So I wouldn't even say follow the science, only because there is no such thing as the science. There is science, which helps us to understand the world, but there is no science. Science is not an authority.
Not what these psycho babble scientists try to make up. Because if you go, even scientists acknowledge the fact that men cannot become women. Even those that are godless, they're claim to be atheists, whatever it may be. Most of them even acknowledge the fact that men cannot become women. So when I say follow the science, I'm saying follow the science of things, right? Follow the science, like just basic.
Right. So all of that, of course, in that context, I would say yes, I would agree with that. But science, in and of itself, is not an authority. It's kind of like you see a lot of people who say they say something and then they bring it up as an authority thing. So you can't question them, because if you question them, then you are just a conspiracy theorist of some sort. Which, by the way, nowadays, in my opinion, a conspiracy theorist is somebody who projects what the future is going to hold. So what we're having right now is, in this generation, is a huge shift from the left to the right, especially when it comes to men. But with women, I'm not really much seeing that, and I'm glad to see that actually you are pushing a wave, because as much as I know the right say that identity politics doesn't matter. I have huge news for the right. It actually does matter. It's a thing that happens. You don't like it. I don't like it. Nobody here likes it. But as a Machiavellian, I really say you gotta engage in the same way the liberals engage. So you need to have people. You need to have conservative women talking to liberal women, showing them, no, it's okay. Actually, I'm a woman. I'm conservative. I'm doing these kinds of things. I'm saying these kinds of things. It's fine. It's okay, because they need to, because human beings are fundamentally tribal. It's a thing. It's something, and they need something to be able to identify with. So anything and everything that helps is an important part. I know some conservatives are still going to be pushing back against that. They're going to say, well, it doesn't really matter. The identity politics doesn't matter. It's a lie. It does matter. It's a thing. It's not going away anytime soon. So might as well engage with it, but not in a cringy way, of course. Don't be that. Don't do that. But you should engage with it on a level that helps out the movement. And I'm glad to see that you're actually doing it. You're showing people a way that no, you can be conservative. You could be outspoken. You can say all the things that needs to be said, and also be kind, be polite, be not, and absolutely do not be politically correct. That is something that is unforgivable. But being polite and kind, that is absolutely welcome. And as I said before, I'm glad to see that you're actually doing it. You've said a lot of good stuff. We are now reaching on our time limit. Unless if you want to keep going, then we could continue. But we've reached our time limit. So I would like for you to tell everybody where they can find you, where they can find. I know you have a store, you have merch, you have all kinds of things you want to share. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, so I've got, culture of 1776.com. We've got the My Pronouns for USA hat. We've got the No Beta Boys shirt. We've got Make Men Masculine Again. We've got Feminine Not Feminist. There's a bunch. And listen, to all the men that are listening, we've got one shirt that says, "Thank a straight person for your existence, straight pride." And I always ask men, I'm like, are you brave enough to wear this? Because a lot of men aren't. They're like, oh, I don't want to offend any people. It's like, no, you're just weak and you bow down to the woke mob. That's why you don't want to wear. You're afraid of what people are going to say to you.
Hilarious. I just want to say this. I want to say this. I would wear something like that only to troll them, but not as an actual statement because pride is a sin, but as a
Yes,
troll.
that's right. Of course.
So
That's right.
you
And
were
that's why I created it. I don't, it's kind of just more of just like a slap in the face, essentially, like straight pride. Of course, pride is a sin. Like, I don't believe you should be prideful. But it's just like, the irony of their whole situation and whatever it may be. But culture of 1776.com, your listeners can use code Patriot to get 10% off their order. My Instagram, Hannah Faulkner 1776. I've got Twitter, Hannah F 1776, and then my Rumble show, the Hannah Faulkner Show on Rumble, and then again my website, it's cultureof1776.com.
right. And for those who want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at Aaron Politodoxy on Twitter or politodoxy@gmail.com on email, or you can send me a message on Instagram at Aaron Friedman. And if you like what you heard, you want to see more, you want to hear more, please share, like, subscribe, and leave 5 stars. We are all over the place. We are taking over this country. So, and the most important thing, as I always say, the most important thing you can do beyond anything else is share. So more people see it, so more the message goes out, and it helps. First, it helps with the podcast, and it helps with the message. So thank you everybody for listening, and remember, my fellow radicals, stay political.